Here we go. After that lovely introduction. Chag Sameach to all who celebrate, and we're diving back in. So we would like to dedicate tonight's Torah to Raquel on your very special day. That should be a bracha. An elevated day for
Yay!
the whole Ganze Mishpucha out there in Mexico City. Um, Ole, vamos. So we're on page 71. We're continuing in the chapter of Nikios, going down, dissecting all the little microaggressions, as we can appropriately say, microaggressions and little subtle behaviors that we can act that is not proper and not right. And we were we just spoke about giving of advice. Um, yeah, right. Okay, so we're going to continue now with a different type. We're talking about the prohibition of slander, lashon hara, lashon hara, which again plug for daily dose of the Chavetz Chaim by Chacham Seltzer. Talking lashon hara. Now, this is a very hard one, but probably one of the greatest examples you can use when it comes to Nikias because we are always talking. We're talking a lot. We don't have selective mutism, so we always have to be aware of the words that are coming out of our mouth. Yes, we've talked about this at nausea. Can it be taken in the wrong way? Well, it's probably the hardest thing to do. Very, very difficult in lashon hara. So sometimes better things left unsaid, better than saying them all together. But regarding talebearing and slander, the severity of these sins is well known by their laws, very extensive. The sages of blessed memory declared it in a statement in Baba Basra. They said, as I've already mentioned, and everyone is guilty of avak lashon hara, implied slander. But what is considered slander? For example, one who says, "Where can a fire for cooking always be found? Only in so and so's house." Or one who praises a person in front of his enemies and the like. Okay, so this is again classically like, and people will say it as well. Like, you ever heard anyone say like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't struggle with money," right? She's alluding to an obvious fact, right? That girl might come from a very wealthy family and might not have any problem affording whatever it is that it is. And we say like, yeah, that person, they should be able to sponsor it, no problem. What you're alluding to, right? You're not saying, are you saying anything bad? You might not even mean it in a derogatory way. But what you're doing by putting that out there, very easy that you can imagine that it can turn to something negative, whether it evokes jealousy or envy in a person, whether it is right a platform for one to revel in their own insecurities and stuff like that. But mentioning those things is another classic example, right? Where can you find that? Oh man, they have all that over there. Onto the other thing that he mentioned, someone who praises a person in front of his enemies, right? When you're stirring the pot a little bit and getting some ill feelings out there and stuff like that. Um, what was that? That was weird. Where people say like, "Oh, you know what you meant by that." Like, "Well, what did I say wrong?" Like, no, that is so loud. Is that a frog? You guys hear that or no? Oh, probably not. Um, right? It's so loud.
What are you talking
All
about?
right, so there's like a croaking right outside my window. It's probably a frog. Anyway, so when you praise someone in front of their enemies, right? You know that person doesn't like that person, so you're gonna dafka talk about that person. Even if you're not dafka talking about that person, even if you're stam, if you're standing in a group of people and you know that this person really dislikes this other person, and you want to share a story about that person, what are you doing? You're obviously bringing something out into the fold. Now, there might not be any technically wrong with what you're doing or saying, but if you have that understanding and the sensitivity and you want to be a very clean person, you are not going to contribute to the drama. It's very rare that somebody's going to like someone who's like totally angelic is going to find themselves in any sort of verbal controversy because of that, right? A person who wants to just be squeaky clean is not going to dive into that. We don't have to spend a lot of time on Lashon Hara because of how obvious it is and how much of a struggle it is for us in general. But we have to have awareness of it. Although these things appear to be harmless and far removed from tale-bearing, in actuality, they are aspects of dust of slander. In summation, the evil incantation has many methods. Nevertheless, every word can lead to harm or embarrassment to someone regardless of whether it was uttered in his presence or not. It is included in the transgression of slander and is hated and despised by the Eternal. Ripping somebody down via Lashon Hara. In reference to this sin, they have said, anyone who utters slanderous remarks is almost regarded as having denied the presence of the Shekhinah and Scripture states in Tehillim, "He who slanders his neighbor in secret, I will cut him down." Yes, lashon hara is egregious, and the damage in which it can cause knows no bounds. So we don't have to elaborate more on it because we understand its severity. So moving on, the hatred and vengeance also difficult to escape since one heart is very easily enticed by them, right? Hatred and vengeance or jealousy, right? Having animosity towards another person, right? Holding on to something, or like I said, being a bedafkanik, right? She did this to me, so I'm never gonna ever forgive her. Right? It's a very common thing where you find that person A wrong person B. But person B, for the life of them, can never get past what person A did to them. It's usually a person B problem, right? So a person is very sensitive to his humiliation and he feels a sense of anguish. And if you know anybody, these really morally unrefined people who just like cannot give the benefit of the doubt no matter what because of their own pain. It's impossible. They did something wrong to me and I'm going to hold on to it for all of time. Is it bad? Right? Is it justice to the other person? No. And there are extents to like where you should and should not forgive. I don't think unconditional forgiveness is, I think that's more of a Christian idea than a Jewish idea. However, forgiveness more often than not is really affects the individual than it does the other person. A person doesn't necessarily need to deserve your forgiveness, but it's just unhealthy for you to hold on to feelings of hatred and vengeance towards another person, a yid, specifically for all of time. Again, there could be circumstances that could be extreme where it's not appropriate to forgive, right? Like Amalek, for example, right? You shall not forget. Al tishkach, like don't forget what they did ever, right? So okay, in those scenarios, but when we talk about like high school matters, right? You can always give the benefit of the doubt. It's very possible, and to hold on to it, again, it's bad for you. You want to be nucky. It's not going to be helpful in that pursuit. Under these conditions, vengeance becomes as sweet as honey, since it's only respite. You get excited in their downfall when misfortune happens upon them. They get hurt, or they don't get an opportunity, or somebody disses them, right? You get pleasure in that. It's a very negative and it's not a good thing at all. Therefore, if he finds the strength to flee the urges of his nature to override his own feelings as to not hate, the one who invoked the hatred within him, he neither takes revenge when the opportunity arises, nor does he bear a grudge, but instead he disregards all this and removes it all from his heart as if it never existed. There goes a strong and courageous individual. Now, sometimes this comes naturally to people, right? Some people, like, for example, I will use myself as an example. I have a terrible memory. Baruch Hashem. But it also like emotional. I have like not the best emotional memory, you know. So like someone does something to me, like not because like I'm a saint. I'm like, you know what? They should be forgiven. It's just like 2 months later, I'm like, I don't even remember what said who. So it has its positive and it has its negatives, but a person should strive to not hold on to it. Now, in Parshas Kedoshim, this week we talk about the Losama Adam Riecha and goes through and through. Don't bear a grudge and don't bear a hate because of it. V'haftal Riecha Kmocha, all that good stuff, which is really really good. What does it mean to take revenge, and what does it mean to bear a grudge? I will use Rashi's examples if you're familiar, if you remember this. What does it mean to take revenge? You go and ask is this a private message? No, you're just no. I'm terribly forgetful. It's really bad. I challenge Chayasuri that she never sent that text. I don't actually know if she didn't. I'm just calling it out, and then she confirmed, and Adina backed me up. Anyway, so one day I need to use for some odd reason I need to use someone's wheelbarrow. So I go over there and I say, "Please, sir, may you lend me your wheelbarrow?" And he says, "No, because you're a dirty Jew, and I'm not lending you my wheelbarrow." Actually, this person's a Yid. Whatever. He goes, "No, you smell bad and you have a bad memory. I'm not lending you my wheelbarrow." That's really annoying. Like what the heck? You know? Okay, it could be a curling iron. I'm just whatever. So one day, 2 weeks later, said friend over here comes over and says, "Hey, Avi, can I borrow your wheelbarrow?" And I go, "Oh, God is good. God is great. I've been waiting for this moment." No, you can't. You can't rent me. You can. And I'm going to actually, I don't even need to use it, but I'm going to use it now just to show you that you can't use it. We call that in the Torah, that is called taking revenge on a person, direct taking revenge on a kama. As Rashi describes it, that is taking revenge. And you can't do that to somebody. right? Now, obviously, the only reason it doesn't come from a good place. And those who try to justify, and you love these people who go like, they don't deserve it. And because I'm such a tzaddik, I'm going to teach them a lesson because no one else is going to do it. So I have to be the one. I want to lend in my hair curler. I want to, but I can't because they don't deserve it because they're scum. So I'm a hero. Fine. Let's go on to what does it mean to bear a grudge? Same example. I come over one day and I say, please, sir, I need to use your wheelbarrow. And he goes, no, you can go play in traffic. You can't have my wheelbarrow. Fine. 2 weeks later, they knock on the door and they say, hey, I need your wheelbarrow now. And I go, God is good, God is great, because I've been waiting for this moment. And I go, sure. You could, of course, you could. My wheel, yeah, of course. Enjoy. I'm not the type of person that doesn't lend their wheelbarrow to people, am I? And you shove it in their face like that. Now that is called bear a grudge. These are Rashi's exact words. You can check it up in Mikros Gedolos. I am not even exacerbating at all. So, exaggerating, sorry, wrong word. That is what it means to bear a grudge, where you're carrying your sinner, you're so hurt by this person that you have to hold on to it, that you can't let it go. So therefore, you do nice things in front of them to show you how nice you are. But really, it comes from a place of yucky hatred, and it's not good, and it's evil, and it's fech. And if you look at it on surface value, you could say, okay, the guy's a nice person. They're doing good things. They're not doing bad things, whatever it is. But deep down, the thing that's motivating you to do, yeah, I can't. Oh, she needs something great. Let me lend her $5. That's just to show you how great I am. These things, these can destroy a person inside, and they come from holding on to hatred towards another person. Yes, girls can be mean and vicious. They can. I've seen it. Ah, they can be disgusting. They can be rude. They can be some of the worst people in the entire world. And yet, right? We've all been there. We've all done mean things to other people. Sometimes the whole concept of the whole thing is that at the end of the day, you have screwed yourself over more than anybody else in the world. So what's the big deal? If you let yourself off the hook constantly, why not just move on from this? They had a bad day. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. You can't be down the kafschus for them. Okay, fine. It's been who? Oh my God, there was a girl who was talking to me about the drama with her ex-friend. And I'm talking to her for like 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, it manages to slip from her mouth that the incident took place in third grade. She's a freshman in high school. It's like, oh my God, third grade. Like, you're destroying yourself. Why are you holding on to this nonsense? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so these are the subtleties. You want to be Nucky, you want to be a person who's just like free. These people are like entrapped by their own. It's crazy. I can think of like so many different examples like come to mind where like you're sitting in couples therapy, right? You're really trying to like make shalom over here, and there's just one person who just like cannot get past. And it's just like, wow, you're really, 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 really hurt. But the person's apologizing and they're saying, they're all the things they need to say to you. Okay, maybe you need time, but like holding on like you're hanging off a cliff with both hands like crazy. It's not good for a person. It's unhealthy and it'll destroy a person from within. It's a terrible, terrible meanness. So obviously the Torah forbids us from taking revenge and bearing a grudge. You must lend your things out to your fellow. But even more, it says it like this: you have to get to a place where it just never existed. You have to get past it. We talked about last time bringing up people's ills of the past. If a person is truly forgiven and truly past that nonsense, that they've healed themselves from the affliction that they're carrying, self-imposed, right? Then they're not thinking about it. It's not consuming their mind. They're not bringing it up. They're not looking for a cheap shot or a comment at any given time where it's like, that's how you know, right? If you have a problem with this person, you think you forgave them, but then you find yourself in a circle that's talking lashon hara about that person, do you get any sort of pleasure, or do you have to also throw, by the way, oh my God, that also happened to me? And it's like, but wait a minute. I thought you forgave and you moved past this. And now you have an opportunity because other people are talking smack about that person. So you're going to contribute with your own example. Looks like you got to do some cheshbon and nefesh because it seems like it still lingers there, right? You want to be truly, truly, and it's amazing to see how many girls are just like, I don't even care. Translated, I care a lot. I care so much. I love saying to I was like, you look. You look like you don't care, like I don't care about her at all. I don't care. Like I'm totally past that. I'm done. I'm like, yeah, really? Do it like sit down and take a breath because you're getting really hot right now. Um, yeah, you got to be honest and true with yourself. You have to be like, where am I really standing with these things? And it's hard. It's eternal work. But again, someone who's a clean slate, there isn't schmutz that's left on the platter over there. This is something which is easy only for the ministering angels, among them who the aforementioned traits do not exist, but for the dwellers of the physical world where we were formed on earth. Nonetheless, it is the king's decree, and the verse is clearly spelled out and needs no elucidation. In Vayikra, you must not hate your brother in your heart. Ah, here we go. Beautiful. We'll do it in Hebrew. Loisina es achicha bilvavcha, loisikoim veloititor ve'es b'nei amcha. That you cannot bear a grudge and hate your brother in your heart. If For those of you who have gone through TJ education, you know this line very much. What does it mean to not hate your brother in your heart? Okay, and this might deviate us for a bit, but it's important to mention. What does it mean? What is the pasuk? Laisina es achicha bilvavcha. Do not hate your brother in your heart. What it does not mean, it does not mean that you should not hate your brother. It did not say that, right? No sina es achicha. You should not hate your brother. Okay, great. We're human beings. Okay, things happen. We can get upset. We can even hate somebody. You know, it's like the little kid. I hate you, and then 5 seconds later, you offer them a candy, and they're like totally fine. It's human nature. We can hate people. We can hate people. People can wrong us and do things bad to us, and we can hate them. But, first of all, achicha means a fellow Jew. Okay. Bilvavcha, what does it mean? Anybody want to take a shot? Shelly, want to make me proud? What does it mean that you should not hate your brother in your heart? La cucara.
Like, not hate them like for real, like really, really hate them, like with passion. I don't know.
No, come on.
Um,
We learned this.
in your heart. Yeah, we did learn this, and I'm thinking about it, and I don't remember.
Anybody?
Like,
Anyone that's not Tamar?
uh-huh.
Well, she
Wait,
knows.
can you just say it,
I'll say it.
please?
Bilvavcha, meaning you should not hate your brother
By
in
yourself,
your
no?
heart. It doesn't mean like authentically, like a person's heart. It means in your heart and not out through your mouth. Meaning that if you have hatred towards another person because they wronged you, then you have a responsibility to not keep that in and inside. Hashem commands of you to go and engage in conflict resolution. That's your responsibility. You cannot do that. And if you do that, you're the culprit. Yes, Chaisuri.
It's not a question, it's just a fun fact. Me and Adina wrote a music video with this about this pasuk with one other girl in seventh grade to the tune of Let It Go.
It's actually really,
Wait,
really funny.
It's a great song, and for the past two episodes of
So
this year's
beautiful.
Yesharim, I've been thinking about it.
You
I need
too.
you to
I also thought
please
about it.
send the YouTube link to Tamar so she can
wait,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Kolisha.
are you saying
I
like,
need her
We
review on that
we
ASAP.
might be too little, honestly. It might not even like it. I don't know if that counts. But we're
Send,
like 10.
send it to Tay. That's good stuff. I'm gonna put that in
I don't
but
even know where it is. Can you find it?
find it.
I'm gonna find
So
does
it.
that
yeah,
mean like, does that
but
mean
let it
like
go.
talking about it? Like, I don't get it.
Yes,
Like,
it means confronting because the pasuk it's not in here, but it says that a person should not bear hate, right? Hocheach tochicha es achicha that hocheach tochecha. You should go and offer tochecha to your brother, meaning you should go and rebuke them for what they did, but you cannot bear hate upon it. I mean, you cannot do it in a sinful way. There are some people who think that because they're wrong, that gives them the green light to do anything. Like they don't never have to. They can just hate this person indefinitely. No, not at all. If someone does something wrong to you, you have a responsibility because you're a human being with a brain to go and confront them. You must go and share that. You have to go and approach them and say, hey, you wronged me, but not in the way of like, oh, this, let me tell you something. And you just go on some tirade throwing curses like, no, then you lose there, right? There's ways to share with somebody how they hurt you, but you're not supposed to do it in a sinful way. Hashem's giving you the roadmap to peace, to conflict resolution. Someone hurts you, don't keep it in your heart. You're not allowed to. You have to go and confront them and share with them what had happened in a way that doesn't make you the sinner. That's what you have to do. You have to let it out there. And then don't write, let it go. Let it go. You have to do that because if not, then you're going to find yourself. You can violate like 4 or 5 Isurim in the Torah. Literally. Just by being hurt and not learning how to like be an adult about it and move past it. Not let it go or suppress it or sweep it under the rug, but deal with it and process it like a normal person, like a healthy person. By not doing that, you can literally violate four different like, you can hate your brother in your heart, you can bear a grudge, you can take revenge, right? You're not loving your fellow like you love yourself. There is no obvious Israel there. I mean, it could go on and on. You really, really drop the ball on this. And people, again, have a hard time getting hurt. Nobody likes getting hurt. When you're hurt, saying I'm sorry is one of the most difficult things to do because it is an admission of fault, and it's also requires vulnerability, right? To go out to somebody and the fear of getting rejected. If I'm vulnerable and I share that they hurt me, they can crush me right then and there. I came over and and then I feel foolish because I should have known better. I should have known that they were the evil, wicked witch of the rest, whatever. I thought that of course they were Ursula, and they're continuing to be Ursula, and I hate them so much. Yada yada yada. So this is the onus becomes on us when a person has to go through their process. It's very possible to heal. A person doesn't have to carry with themselves anger and hate towards other people. It's not healthy, it's not normal, and it is usser according to the Torah. Okay, concerning vengeance and bearing a grudge, we know that vengeance means refraining from acting kindly towards someone who has denied him kindness or has actually harmed him. That is what vengeance is, and bearing a grudge means while repaying a harmful deed with a good deed, one reminds the other party of the harm that they committed. There we go. Okay, so that cannot happen. And again, it is such a Yetzer Hara. It is such, if you're ever in that situation, you ask somebody to lend you $1 for the snack machine and they just wouldn't do it, and then they're standing right there, and they're like, "Ooh, can I?" Um, I remember that this was a tough one. I remember this. There was a director way back when there's a TJJ director who proactively tried to get me fired. One of the three individuals in my career who really, really thought it was a good use of time to try to get me canned. Anyway, so this guy tried to get me fired, caused a lot of trouble for me, and for the whole matzav at the time. This is a very long time ago, so no point in asking. Goes all the way back, about 10 years. Anyway, so we're sharing the same hotel. They're from a different region. We're in the same hotel in Israel, in Yesharim, and there's like three buses staying there, and our rooms, of course, because why would you put the group together on the same floor when you can sprinkle them out throughout the entire building? Obviously, thank you, Israel. We can, figure out how to do a heart transplant, but putting the same group on the same floor seems to be too difficult of a task. Anyway, so we're there, we're sprinkled in with the other bus, and I remember I had a room next to this person was married. Their wife and children was staying in the connecting room with my campers, my TJers, those girls. And he came over to me and said, can I he's like, um would you mind like switching out? Like, can I have that room so I could be next to my family, like over the weekend, like when we got there? So, I said, let me just talk to my like logistics people, whatever it is. And I turn around and it's just like, you get that feeling where you're just like, it's such adrenaline. You're like, oh my God, I can crush this guy. He's gonna stay away from his kids the whole weekend, and I'm gonna. So whatever. Anyway, it was like like I had to do the cheshbon of making sure that I obviously I was gonna do it, but that I wasn't gonna do it in a way where it was like obnoxious or like I was just like, by the way, you know, because I am such a good guy, So, yeah, I had the logistics guy like guys arranged it, and I stayed far away from him as I could, just because like I wanted to protect myself from my Yetzer Hara, because oh man, it was good times. But yeah, I mean, listen, we're human. We're human, and we get these. You want to, when people hurt you, you want to get them back ultimately, but you want to work on yourself. You want to be the best you can be. You don't want to be the type of guy that's walking around living your life carrying the burden of thinking of other people. Or as my Rebbe said, I remember one time I really wanted to get somebody back. Somebody ransacked my room in yeshiva. I came back one day to my room and they flipped all the beds and knocked over someone totally just like destroyed the room for me and my roommates. And I remember I was like very passionate about like finding out who it was. And my Rebbe said to me, something that always stuck with me. He said, "Why should that person, whoever they are, have so much power over your emotions?" And I was like, "Oh my God." It was like the light bulb moment. I like totally became like unangry and like instantly. I walked up, I put all my things back, and I was just like, there's zero chance I'm gonna let that person have control over, like, I'm gonna have a ruined day because that person, you know, it puts things into perspective. When you're carrying hatred or ill feeling towards another person, they're occupying space in your emotional, canister of it. There's only so much. You only so much emotional energy and effort one can have in a day. Why spend all that time occupied on someone you don't even like? It doesn't make sense. It's a midah for us. It's a din. It's an Indian in us to work on ourselves to be able to get past these things and not be obsessive and carry this yada yada yada. Anyway, you guys get the point. So the evil inclination continuously inflames the heart and constantly seeks to keep alive at least some trace or recollection of what had happened. And this is true. Let's say you really, really did. You really moved on, you're past it, whatever it is, and somehow it resurfaces later to that, right? You really have to look at yourself in the mirror and really say, like, am I holding on to this? Am I really, really? Because again, the Nikias element of it, the Mida itself, is to be totally clean, squeaky clean, sponja, right? No schmutz whatsoever. If there's anything lingering, the Yetzer Hara, it's like an ember. The Yetzer Hara is going to fan the flame. So he's constantly looking for little sparks that are left over that he can ignite that into a flame again. And as long as there's a little ember somewhere, some evil ember of hatred or whatever it is, the Yetzer Hara, he'll be lie dormant, he'll take some time, he'll play the long game, but when he finds it, he's able to reignite it. That's why a person has to have total honesty with himself in cheshbon nefesh and constantly think over what's my why? Am I really past it? What is going on? And if not, there are ways and methods of being able to get past things in a healthy way. If he's not successful in leaving the strong impression that it will attempt to leave a weak one. For example, it may say to someone, if you want to give this person what you wouldn't give what he wouldn't give you when you were in need, at least don't give it to him graciously, right? This guy messed you over, so you want to get him back. Okay, fine. So do the deed. And this again, it's a lower level of it. And I'm sure we've all been there. I certainly have. Where it's like you're going to do the right thing, but you're not going to do it in the most gracious of ways. You're still going to do it, and you still might throw a comment out there, but right, you're doing the right thing. And it's like throwing charity at a person. You gave tzedakah, but it wasn't so nice. Or if you don't want to harm him, at least don't be kind to him and don't help him in a major way, right? Don't go out of your way to screw him, but okay, don't assist him in a way. These are those embers. This is where the Yetzer Hara is going to look and say, okay, look, I can still grab onto something here. There's a pulse, baby. There's a pulse. And then eventually, right, that has a very easy way of imploding into something much bigger. Even if you want to be of great assistance to him, or at least don't do it in his presence, or don't become his friend again. Love that. That's a great one. This is a classic. We're not going to be friends again. It's not going to be the same. Like, no, I'm still friends, but not to the same degree because I need to protect myself from this horrific being. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you're just hurt. You're just hurt. You get over it. You reestablish a relationship. You figure it out. But like, no, I will never, because I need to protect myself because they did this one thing to me that I do to other people and everybody does to everybody. I always find it remarkable. There was a group of unnamed girls sitting at my table, and they literally, I was bringing out the snacks after a Shabbos meal, and they were going with the lashon hara, and I sat down at the head of the table there, and it was just crazy. It was just like unabated. It was not there was no like sense they just lost themselves. They were just showering it down on certain girls that were not there. And I said, I looked at like the ringleader, and I was just like, I'm like, can I ask you something? I'm like, I know you very well. I know you enough that I know that the thing you hate the most is when people talk smack about you. So I'm not telling you like the like right wrong stuff. But I'm just noticing. It's just so interesting that you hate when that's done to you, but you have no problem just going ham at the table here, like no like nothing else in the world exists. It's crazy. It's really crazy, right? You ask people like, what do you hate about people the most? I hate fake people, fake people. So what does it mean to be fake? Talking about you, talking about me, man. It's like, find me a girl your age that doesn't do that, right? Like, who doesn't do that? Of course, you all do it, right? So if you do it and you don't like it, so then have a little grace, let go a little bit, be a little more forgiving. You're gonna sit up there and be like, "Oh my God, I just spoke lashon hara. Let me. Where's the whip? I'm gonna start whipping myself. A shot in the big God. Like, you don't do that because that's not normal, right? So if someone else does it, why not be just as gracious and just give a little? Like, let it go. Look at it from a different perspective there. Or if you've forgiven him enough Is it enough that you don't show him enmity? But if you also want to be his friend, don't show him as much worth as you merely did. All such suggestions and expressions of diligence on the part of the Yetzer Hara, which tries to entice the hearts of people. Therefore, the Torah enunciated a principle which is all inclusive. You shall love your fellow as yourself. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That's what that means. In the same, like that. In the same way that we are forgiving and gracious to ourselves, we should extend the same to others. If somebody's self-loathing and hates themselves and doesn't forgive themselves for what they did, those people are just like, oh my God, ugh, I can't believe I ate that. I'm never gonna forgive myself. We're not talking about that. People who genuinely like, oh, I hate myself, like I legit hate myself every day because of the things I did in the past. You're an unhealthy person and you need to go to therapy. So a normal person, right? No, sorry, not normal, but a healthy person doesn't do that. Rather, when they make mistakes, they can be hard on themselves, but they get over it. A day goes by and they get over it, they move on. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. In the same way you love yourself and you are lenient on yourself when you do stupid things, do the same, have the same courtesy towards your friends. That's what that pasuk means. As yourself, meaning without any distinction, and yourself means without hair splitting differentiations, without rules or devices, literally as yourself. Okay, let us. Ugh, but I want to get to lying. Yeah. Okay, we'll do one more paragraph and then we'll stop before lying, because we had that whole introduction, so it was so good. We'll do one more paragraph here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about oaths, which again is is something that is a little bit tedious. I'm going to we'll go through it quickly because again, taking oaths to the same degree is not as relevant today as it was, at least from a halachic standpoint. But either way, we should be very careful with our words, right? I would say even making commitments that we're not going to follow through on. With regards to oath, generally speaking, who is not a layman to be careful to utter the name of heaven in vain, and particularly involved of oaths. Again, this is a was such a relevant part of Judaism in terms of taking and making oaths, and even today, traditionally, and even in our Masorah, we do this, right? We have Kol Nidre, and we do a Taras Nadarim, the annulment of the vows. But they've sort of lost their weight and their gravity. I mean, in reality, not. We're just very loose with them because we don't understand the magnitude of the words that we say when we take on things and we make certain oaths and we don't follow through on them. Yet there are some minor offshoots of the law pertaining to oaths, which, although not involving prohibition of greater stringency, should nonetheless be meticulously observed by one who desires to be clean. As in, you should be very careful with your words and how you commit to things. Even, by the way, let's use an example, right? Oh, I'm never going to eat that again. Okay, that's not true. This is something that you're going to eat for sure again next week. Like, ugh, I can't eat ever again. Saying things loosely with your words, also another tremendous thing, because they have implications. Our words are very, very powerful. So, in the way that we think, when we use terms like "I will never," or you're taking on a statement, "I will never do this again," "I am always going to do that," or even simply, and this could be a ben adam lechavero thing, making commitments to people not falling through, not being that moves into lying. We're talking about oaths. We're talking about taking on or committing to things what we have to be very careful about. This is what our sages have said. Rabbi Elazar said, "Lav lo is an oath, and yes, hain is an oath." Wow, even to that degree. Rav said the only in the case where he said lav lav, repeating the word twice, and hain hain twice. They also said and an accurate, a liquid measure. Vahid tzedek means that you are no lav should be accurate, and your hain yes should be accurate. Okay, basically, do not. He's saying even to the degree of where you say like, oh, are you going to go to the thing? Yes, right. That is in some way, shape, or form. That is a form of oath taking, of taking upon yourself an oath, right? So, oh, that was so nice. Shalom, welcome, welcome. So, Bekitsur, we have to be careful with our words and our commitments when we're asked to do something and we say, yes, I'm in, I'm committing to something. It always amazes me that teenagers think it is totally okay to just bail on commitments. Drives me crazy. Where it's like, hey, I commit to coming for Shabbos. And I don't even say something, I don't show up. It happens to me a lot. Where they commit to coming to a program, they RSVP, people buy food for them, and they simply don't show up. It is not the way of a clean person, of someone who wants to have integrity. It's just not what you do. When we talk about oath taking, not to the halachic letter of the law, but we would be very careful, right, with the things that we are committing to, with the words and the lashons that we use. We'll pick up next week, Mir Hashem, talking about lying and falsehood and being completely honest. And where is there room to be able to lie, white lies, and things like that? We'll dive into all that next week. Mir Hashem. Any questions on this Yom Tov? That what else? Supposed to be out here for this. Woof. Any questions on today's topic?
I have a
Grudge, vengeance.
question about, wait, you're saying that taking up on oaths or whatever, like, you're not saying that's a form of lashon hara, right? Because I don't understand.
No,
Or
no,
is
no,
that
no.
just like,
No,
like,
it's different. It's a different thing that we moved on from.
wait, but like, what is that an example? Like, I don't understand what that's an example. Like, is that a sin? Like, I don't understand.
Yes, yes. There's tons of mishnayos on it on Nedarim that a person making an oath or a commitment verbally, right? Used to be your word was your bond. Used to be
But
that when
like
you know in a court
being
system,
like
you know in a court system,
exaggerating or not.
you know in a court system, right? Why do they have a person stand up and swear? Why do they do that? That
To make
comes
sure that you're being
comes
honest or whatever.
comes from Jew, but who cares? Why can't someone just stand up? It comes from the Jewish people. Back in the day when we were to say things, when you were to make an oath, it was binding. It was totally binding. You see that in the Torah, that Avram and Yitzchak Yaakov, when they say, swear to me, and he makes an oath, right? That Yaakov has Yosef make a shvua, and he makes an oath to him that these are not lightly like, yeah, when people say, "Oh, I swear to God," right? When you say things like that, it's actually really, really dangerous. You're not allowed to say things like that. But we live in a
So
world where words mean nothing whatsoever. When you make a commitment to something and you use the English language to commit and say, "I am going to X, Y, and Z," that has to some degree, and even what we just learned now, even when you say yes or no to something, your word is your bond. To some degree, you are taking on read a Taras Nadarim in English, right?
you're saying like we're very literal people, like before
It
we
is
were more literal with our
a
words and now we're
terrible
not.
it is a terrible sin to make a commit. You shouldn't do it at all. You should be very careful not to do it at all to the degree of what the Torah talks about in terms of making an oath. But you should be very careful with the way that you talk, specifically in declaring things, making an oath, making a promise, making a commitment. You should be extremely careful about doing these things because they are spiritually binding and you can get yourself in a whole mess of trouble.
What does that mean by spiritually binding? I don't understand.
Okay, I'll explain this one more time. Hashem created the world in a certain way with certain spiritual energies and certain spiritual powers. The biggest power that a human being has is the mouth. The mouth is the thing that separates us from all the other animals, our ability to communicate. And he gave us a seichel, our ability to be able to think rationally and use the mouth to be able to bring things into existence. It is the most powerful tool that a human being has is their mouth. And therefore, because words mean so much, if a human being says out of his mouth something, it becomes spiritually binding. Think about when you get married, which has not happened yet, but think about a couple who gets married, right? The
Yeah.
guy goes under the chuppah and he says the words Harayat Mikudesh Li B'Tbadzu. He says the words, and then all of a sudden, what? What changed? What changed?
Like spiritually, something did, but
Now,
isn't
spiritually, these two souls, neshamas that were separated, are now fused together to the point where actions before and after that sentence could be life or death for people. Okay?
right.
When you say kiddush on Shabbos, when you're mekadoshing something, what are you doing? When you make a bracha on something, you have the power to do tremendous things. Oath taking, taking an oath. I solemnly swear, and I don't like that I will never blah 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 again. Now, when you go and engage in that thing, you're in a lot of spiritual trouble. Now you get off the hook because God looks at you like a tinoch. It's like when when Yitzi says like I'm gonna pick a new Abba to me, right? Like what is he? He doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So you don't take him serious because he's just upset. You're just saying ridiculous things. So maybe Hashem looks at you in that way. You still before Yom Kippur and before Rosh Hashanah, you need to go and now annul and you say things that I said passively, things that I didn't mean, commitments that I made. It's a very, very serious thing. So you should be very careful with the commitments that you make, the promises that you make. You should never swear ever on something because that's putting you in a very spiritually compromising situation. We need to be very
Like
careful.
even if it's completely true, it shouldn't be said.
No, for sure not. For sure
Okay.
not. Yeah, even if a person says like, "I promise I'm going to eat this," and then they eat it, like that's a sin. Like, why would you do that? Why would you go and invoke something that there's no necessity for? Again, the Mishnah is it's long. It goes
You
into the
can't even make promises, or you
you
shouldn't
shouldn't.
make
You really
promises.
should not. No, no. The question is today, again, the power of oath taking because of the halachic parameters and where we are today, right, are not as significant as they were back in the day. Right? They're not as binding halachically, but it does but the concept is still alive and well today. It's very, very strong. What is halachically considered an oath by the letter of the law? And then what do you need, right? We can't bring karbanos. If a person violates their oath, they need to bring a sacrifice. You can't do that. So therefore, what do? Right? So it's not the same today, but the idea, the concept is very much still the same today, and a person has to be very, very careful. Okay, 215 years. Wow, very accurate. Tough shin, pay
Thank
hey.
you, Ollie.
How'd you know that? Yeah.
Um,
Is that
so what
obvious?
about, yeah, wait, I'll come after. So what about like Shelly was saying, like over exaggeration, like saying like I can't, or like, because you really can, like saying I can't do this anymore, but you are gonna still do it. Like, what about that stuff? And like also um, like let's say it's like super hot, you're like I'm melting, like you're not actually melting, or something super funny, you say I'm dead, you're not dead. You know
So,
what I
so
mean?
that's so that so again, like for expressions, I think that's going to be more of a next week thing. Those are not like oaths. Those statements are not oaths. You're not taking upon, you're not committing to doing anything or
Like they're
refraining.
hyperboles. Like I don't know. Like
Right.
they're
You're not,
just
you're
like
not committing to do something or refraining from doing something. That's just in terms of like, is it an expression that means something? Okay, that's fine. We're going to talk about lying. Obviously, we're not, what Ramchal's not, because we're talking about Nikias, he's not going to say, hey, outright lie. None of us outright lie, except for Chaya Sarah when she talks about who her cousin is. None of us lie. What we do is we say subtleties that are like a little, like, okay. So if a person really wants to go OD and be like super clean, then yes, you shouldn't say like, oh, I'm melting. No, you're not actually melting. No, I don't. No. You got to
it's
be
like an
normal, though.
expression. Like it's like
Like I'm
Yeah,
starving. Also, I'm starving.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you got to be
I
normal.
guess
You got to be normal, and you got to use your seichel. But those are not under the category of oath taking. Those are
those are personality
Avi,
traits.
Avi, how about like saying like how like girls a lot be like, oh my God, like I love you, bye, whatever, like not oath wise, but just like
and they don't mean it. Don't say they
yeah.
don't mean it. No,
This is one of Adina's biggest things.
you can love every Jew. Who cares? Like,
When someone is like, oh, love you, bye, I'm like, bye.
is love a spectrum?
Because I don't love them. Like, what if like they're like my casual acquaintance from like a random place? Like, love you, bye is not like a
Are
no, I
they
don't love you. Like, bye.
I struggle with that.
are they a yid?
I mean, yeah, but like, love's a strong word. Like, so is
I know
hate.
that. Yeah, correct. It is a strong word, and you should love every Jew. So at least the Chelek Elokai within them, you can at least love
No,
them.
obviously, but to
Well,
go
then it's
around
okay.
saying it, you think it's fine?
Why is that a problem?
Because it's not true.
It is true. You just said it's true.
Yeah, but like, it's not the same type of love.
I don't know. I'm not into the whole like it's like an event. Oh, did you say it? Did you say the L word? Oh, that's a big
No,
deal.
that's what I'm saying. That like words like have like they have meaning. Like if you just go around saying
So,
like
so you're
I hate
nervous about
everybody,
like,
like
yeah, you're nervous
that's
about watering down the implication of love. Like I
and I'm
want it.
saying like well, like are you gonna say I love you to your husband just like everyone else? It's gonna be different. Like
Oh, it's different, but you can use the same word.
okay, but like if you go around saying words very loosely, I feel like it's like
It's not the power in the word. It's what's behind the word. And you can generally feel that, you know?
but you know how like girls say it, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is. I have a bigger problem with kissing
Yeah.
everybody that you see in your community. Oh, that's a little bit more. Now you've watered down, physical contact because you're just going around kissing the mailman. Like it's a little bit much. And
That's
I don't
so
know. I'm at
boring.
fun
It's
and
so
I
silly.
accurate though.
someone walked into my door and like I have
That's
to
a
go,
bit
like
much
I
for me.
I
freeze.
really
I
don't
don't
think
think.
that's accurate.
Oh,
You know
really?
it is.
I
Everyone
don't think it's
Okay.
accurate.
Yeah,
No.
please
no.
tell me more. Anyway,
No, Shelly, it is.
on that note.
It's just a nice way to say hello. We all
It's
do
I
it.
think it's time
awkward.
for the
No, what's
Zoom
wrong with
view.
people? It's
You
not.
guys didn't say
It's
it.
Would
awkward.
you,
It's Aladdin
It
sing.
needs to be
next time you're
acknowledged.
in Walmart, please
The little like
say
air
hi to the
kiss on the
cashier.
cheek. It's like
I
so
went to I went for
Spanish.
for Shabbat TUF and I couldn't walk 2 steps
Okay,
without
we're
going
gonna stop
mwah, mwah.
here before things get too funky. We'll pause
On the
and
Zoom.
yes,
You
right.
started.